then he started shooting. Those threes were the reason the Rockets were leading.
Part of that huge second quarter for Sengun and the Rockets alongside the Hall of Famer Calvin Murphy. Adam Wexler here with you as the Rockets get the 134-102 victory over the Pelicans tonight in New Orleans to close out that road trip. And now with just 8 games remaining, 6 of those 8 back at Toyota Center next up on Tuesday. Lots to run through tonight from this one, Calvin, but it really was that second quarter. They pulled away, built a huge lead, and they never let the Pelicans get within even as few as 14 the rest of the game.
Well, it's easy to say this now because the Rockets end up winning by 32, but this is how Rockets were supposed to play basketball. They played well together. Defensively, they were flawless in the first half. First of all, their defense dictated the offense. They got so many easy baskets just supporting one another. But this is what happens when everybody is in tuned to play that team concept. Every now and then, you're going to have a team that, was done tonight by the Pelicans. They just gave up after a while. They saw that there was nothing they can do to stop the Rockets. And the Rockets' onslaught, after they started hitting those threes going to the basket, just made them fold their tent.
Yeah, this Pelicans team was back at Toyota Center just a couple weeks ago, launching a potential game-winning shot against the Rockets at the buzzer, and the Rockets beat them by 2. Very different story tonight, and I imagine a very different vibe from the head coach, Ime Udoka, after this one.
The defensive intensity, communication, and then, like I said, change that into offense was great. So always a good formula for us.
Speaking of defensive communication, it seemed like tonight it was more concerted effort. I heard a lot of, the players communicating amongst each other, telling each other where to be. Was that something that you all practiced on coming into this game?
Yeah, I mean, we want to be more vocal all year, and takes you knowing what you're doing first and foremost to talk to others and have everybody on the same page. But yeah, you want to be as vocal as possible and get everybody on the same page, and it's kind of empty in there too, so you could hear things.
And I don't know if they asked you about Alperen already, but since he came back from that 2-game absence, he's been shooting a lot better from the field, up to 60%. What do you see, just the shots he's getting?
Yeah, same quality looks he's been getting all year. So you stay the course, and they're going to drop at the rate, the usual rate. And so for him, just being aggressive and not really hunting fouls, and not he's going into his bag a little bit and with the fakes and all that. But I think he's just being decisive and aggressive there. And so. They start small and then bring in some defenders. It started Messi tonight with the injury to Murphy, but some favorable matchups that he likes, and I like the fact that he's not playing around and going to finish.
You've seen the confidence level of Tariq and rise over these last couple of games.
Yeah, I think, like I said, he's getting back to doing what he does really well and not just relying on shots to fall to impact the game. And so you see it, him slashing and cutting and offensive rebounding and getting steals and all the things that he does to disrupt the game. And those, getting out to the free throw line, getting some layups to go will obviously open up your game for you, and then the threes will start to fall. And so I like the fact that he's still staying aggressive, hunting those threes, but, all the other things that make him who he is has been great the last few games.
Without it, felt like he came out with a lot of emphasis on defense. He seemed really engaged early on.
Yeah. Yeah, he was. I mean, he got the matchup with Williamson, so you have to be locked in and focused there. So very engaged as far as that, and trying to keep him off his spots. And it is what it is with him. You don't do your work early, and you're not detail oriented. He's going to embarrass you to some extent. And so he was locked in there, and then team defense was great as well.
You talked a little bit about this, but just 6 turnovers tonight in the season. That's what's such a huge issue. How nice was it to not have that be an issue, and what allowed that to be?
Yeah, that's great. Obviously, with the high assist numbers, low turnovers, and then the offense, you had the offensive rebounds. That's what you get. 21 more or 19 more shots than them, and so we win that possession battle. We're usually in good shape. Guys just taking care of the ball, and they were doing some late switches and all that. I think it's just guys sprinting to their spacing, not forcing the pass, and just being decisive there. And so we'll take whatever we get behind it. The first point is getting it through the traps, through the blitzes, and we haven't always been great at that, but we were tonight.
There's a lot of physicality going on in this game. Is it starting to pick up to the point where end of the season, getting ready to get into the playoff type basketball atmosphere?
Yeah, I think we made a concerted effort to get back to that, especially after the Minnesota game. Talked about how aggressive they were to start, and then we kind of countered that late in the game, and we liked that side of us better than being a reactionary. And so I think we want to be more aggressive, and they called some late fouls, some touch fouls late, where I got a technical because of those. But for the most part, they let us play the first half, and then we want to make the refs adjust to us. And if they're calling it tight, we'll adjust, but get back to what we did more so the first 2 years, which is be the aggressor.
Got played Kevin just 28, 29 minutes tonight. You talked about wanting to get more rest. How nice was it to get that?
Yeah, it's great. Anytime you can sit guys the fourth quarter, and maintain or build on the lead is great. I think it's important for the other guys to play without him and maintain those and see success there. And so for him, obviously getting the rest is great, and other guys as well. But when you got guys like Aaron coming in plus 41, Jay Sean plus 27, obviously they're doing an excellent job off the bench and maintaining but also expanding that lead.
It wouldn't be fair to Jeff if I didn't ask him about the shot.
Yeah, great. 1 second, I was kind of blocked off, but he's another guy that is ready when called upon and seems to always make a shot when he comes in late. So great on him at his age to be able to get out and get moving that quickly and making those shots. So it's a credit to him. Honestly, like a testament to him staying ready and practicing those shots. So when he comes in, he's ready to go.
I myself, when I was a shooter in the league, I like to get down quickly and set up and basically have a set shot. I would shoot the jumper if I'm guarded closely, but basically I want to get down as quickly as possible and basically give you a little set shot.
Take a look at the starting 5 box score tonight. You see the 20 from Jabari, KD the same. Men Thompson all over the place for his tonight, and Alperen Sengun just absolutely sensational.
Oh my gosh. When you start having people question your status as a player, and of course he made the All-Star team this year, and what he did was show why he was able to go to the All-Star game. I guess he went as a substitute, which was kind of shaky anyway. But the fact that he's playing this kind of game is what people remember when they start voting for the next year's All-Star game, because they look at the stats that are being given going down towards the playoffs.
Yeah, we mentioned this before the game. His last 7 games, Alperen is shooting better than 64%, 12 of 23 tonight, the 36 points. His second quarter was something pretty spectacular. We dive inside Calvin's court here. My goodness, the milestones he was putting up there. How about this? 14 points, 5 boards, 4 assists, 3 steals or more in those categories. The only player to do that since the play-by-play era of 1996-97.
Unbelievable. But I think he forgot who he was tonight, especially when you start looking at those numbers there in the fourth quarter. He just took it upon himself to will the Rockets a victory.
And that was the quarter they pulled toward him, 39-18, put a 21-point lead in front of them, and that's how they took it on home. So Calvin's Court, presented by Memorial Hermann Rockets Orthopedics. The points, the rebounds, the three-point shooting, and the playmaking, all there for Alperen Sengun in this game.
Yeah, well, this is when you're in sync with everything. He comes down as a 6'11" point guard, goes behind his back, defense has to react. He catches his teammate, which is, of course, Thompson coming baseline, which he always does, and he takes it home with a vengeance.
So nice to have those above-the-rim players. He even draws to the defender. The shot blocker, Misi, is drawn to Alpi, and that leaves the airspace open for Amen.
But you know what I liked about this play also? After he went behind his back and went past the defense, he had a layup. But he decided to give it to, a teammate coming baseline. So, his peripheral vision and everything was on point also.
Yeah, this, like they said during the broadcast, I imagine you would look at this one deep into the season, 74 games in. This might have been the best night of the season for Alperen.
Absolutely. When you look at his stats, and the key of how well he was playing is the way his teammates were moving. First of all, they spread the floor. They allowed him to be him tonight. He shot a couple of threes. They didn't. I'm over here yelling, no, no, no. But his teammates are obviously allowing him to do that.
Yeah, made his 5 threes, tied his career high for what he did on opening night against Oklahoma City. 5 for 5 to start the game for Sengun. And the Rockets get a huge 32-point victory, able to close out this road trip with a pair of victories, head on home for a back-to-back starting on Tuesday night. More on that and what remains for the Rockets as we continue